This video is sponsored by Squarespace. It is the all-in-one platform to showcase your portfolio and run your business. We all have a little bit of perfectionism in ourselves. I was a failure. You're navigating through what niche you belong in. People aren't the same people their entire lives. Why would we expect our creativity to also stay contained? Getting heartbroken, live with no regrets. That all people want from you is your time. You're just giving them like a half-assed version of who you are. Say no to the things you don't want to do. Toxic work routine. I don't know anything about myself, like who am I? Today we're gonna keep it casual. I have my matcha. I'm trying out a new matcha today. Go grab a drink because we're gonna just chat. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany and I am a self-employed artist, illustrator, and I also run my own e-commerce business. I have been doing this for almost 3 years. Like next month is my 3-year anniversary for running my own business, so I think that's pretty cool. There's a lot of things that I would love to tell 10-year-old Tiffany, and if I could go back in time and tell her, these would be 25 things that I wish I'd known before 25. I think through the past few years, learning these things really nurtured my self-confidence and also eased a lot of the anxieties that I had growing up. I'm gonna split this into 3 categories, and the first one is art. Number 1 is, yes, they're right. Putting financial expectations onto your creativity or your art will sometimes kill it. I feel like it's so important to foster like a very strong passion for your art before you monetize on it. I've seen so many comments of people saying that they get burnt out trying to make a living off of their art, that they no longer create anymore, or that it's hard for them to even open a sketchbook. And sometimes what works better for people is maybe getting a part-time job or a full-time job that is totally separate from your creativity, and just letting your creativity flow naturally without expecting anything from it. And what that looks like for me is that I'm trying to shift a lot of my income into places that aren't necessarily all based off of like my creativity. So for example, Patreon is a really good example. I can like show people my life and what I do as an artist and show them the process of my art without the pressure of the art itself having to be the thing that makes money. Also like YouTube videos, for example, instead of like painting for every single YouTube video, it can be about like decorating my apartment or decorating the studio, organizing things, showing a little bit more about my life and putting less of a focus on the actual art itself. And that way I can leave the creative process to myself and then share that when I feel like I'm ready. Number 2, the more often you create, the more discipline you will have to keep going. A lot of the times when I'm starting and stopping and starting and stopping, and it's like months in between since I've last created, it's so much harder to just get myself up and going and started again. So what I find that is actually very helpful is just like in between, even if it's like the worst thing you've ever drawn, just like a little doodle here and there will kind of like keep that routine going. And I feel like it's better to be consistent than always like on and off, on and off, on and off over time. Number 3, if your goal is to share your work with people, you have to learn when to let go of a piece at some point and just put it out into the world. A lot of the times over the years when I'm talking to creatives, their main goal is to make art. And I think that's everyone's main goal as a creative, is to make something. But the thing that they always struggle with, or the thing that they always ask me, is how do I put it out into the world? Like how do I get it out there? My answer is usually just like, you just kind of have to do it. We all have a little bit of perfectionism in ourselves, and I think that often like hinders us to like sharing something with people or sharing something with the world. It doesn't have to be 100% complete for you to share it with people or to put it out there. And there's a point where you just have to acknowledge that you have to let it go in order to share it. Number 4 is you will not make a masterpiece every single time. The faster you learn that, the happier you will be just to create. A few months ago, I was really hard on myself because with social media, I felt like I had to be perfect for every single piece. Every single piece had to blow up, every single piece had to be my best piece ever, or else I was a failure. And this is just like the narrative that I was telling myself every single day, and it reached a point where I was just so scared to post anything that I just didn't. I just felt like I was stuck in a rut and I couldn't get out of it. So yeah, not everything has to be perfect. Like everything that you do in between your best pieces are like little progressions towards that final piece that you're really proud of. Number 5, don't pressure yourself to be original and one of a kind. Everything has been done before. Just focus on doing it your way. There really is nothing that I can do that can be really 100% unique and original. And I think there's something very soothing about that, because then it takes the pressure off of having to be original, having to be unique. Like there's a million different styles and themes that have already been done. It's not the style or the theme that will make you original, but it's you being authentic and making art that you like making, and that's what makes it unique. Number 6, let yourself experiment and fail. That's how you grow and find new things to implement into your practice. When you put yourself too much into a box or a category, it's really easy to just forever keep creating under that label that you've given yourself. And I often feel like when I'm in that kind of place, it's really hard for me to expand and grow as a human, an artist, or whatever. And social media does also play a lot into this, because in a way, when you first start posting on social media, you're navigating through what niche you belong in. And once you find that niche, that's where you really like successfully grow, is when you're just like building on top of that. But after doing the same thing for years and years and years, like I personally feel like I'm kind of outgrowing the niche that I formed, and the fear of trying to expand and grow out of that can be very scary, but it's kind of a necessary growth, because people aren't the same people their entire lives. People, they grow, they shift, they morph, and why would we expect our creativity to also stay contained when it should be allowed to be what it wants to be? Number 7, experience as much as you can in life. It will always feed back into your work. Some of my favorite pieces are actually from just me going out and experiencing life, getting heartbroken, going on random hikes one day and seeing a really pretty shadow that I like, having late night conversations with people about their experiences in life. A lot of my absolute favorite pieces are the ones where I can distinctly remember why I painted it. Number 8, surround yourself with people and an environment that inspires you. I often feel so inspired when I meet other creatives, and not even just artists, but just creatives in general, because I think sometimes we all need that little reminder of that like passion and spark you can see in someone else's eyes. And I love going on museum dates and just drawing there. I love going on cafe dates and just sketching together, and just overall like talking about creativity and art, or just being fueled by each other's energies is like very inspiring. The next category is business. Number 9, don't be afraid to ask for help. Working on a business solo has made me realize just how little I know. Have never regretted asking for help from a CPA or a friend or someone that's just a professional in something that I am not. Being vulnerable and accepting the fact that you need help, I feel like often create like the greatest friendships and like the greatest community, because you kind of can help each other grow together and figure things out along the way. So aside from asking for help from professionals and friends, I feel like utilizing different platforms and resources online also will work in your favor. One of the platforms I recommend is Squarespace. If you don't know already, Squarespace is a all-in-one platform where you can design your own website, run a business. I currently use mine for my portfolio, and I have been using Squarespace as my portfolio for the past few years as I run my business professionally and when I was a student. I always update update it with my newest works in case a client stumbles across my page and I need a more professional layout to show them aside from my social media accounts. What I love about Squarespace is that there are so many easy to use themes and you don't need to worry about coding or designing anything. You pretty much just put your photos in and you can drag and drop them to lay it out the way that you want it to look. If you would like to try out Squarespace for yourself, you can head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch your website or buy a domain, you can use my code AppleCheeks for 10% off. I hope you give them a try, and thank you again, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video. Number 10, be structured and disciplined, but also be open to taking risks. You know yourself the best. You know when you feel like you need a change in your life or when you need to switch things up a bit. If your gut, for example, is telling you that you should start this business on the side because you think there is potential for it to be really big, trust your gut and just go for it. And even if you fail, at least you know that you've tried your hardest and you've done your best to make something, and you have all of this experience and new learnings that you can take on into other parts of your life. Live with no regrets. Number 11, the way you give your time away to others matters a lot. I think the older you get, the more you realize that all people want from you is your time. People are always asking favors from you. People are always asking you, do you want to do this project? Do you want to take on this client? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? I think your time is your currency, and where you spend it is very important. If you're always giving it away and making promises to people that you don't really find much value in for yourself, then you're taking time away from things that you actually care about. And also you have to think about how, like, when you're saying yes to things that you don't want to do, you're not giving them the best version of you. You're giving them the version of you that made that promise, doesn't really want to do that thing, but you didn't want to say no. So you're just giving them like a half-assed version of who you are. Really stand firm and say no to the things you don't want to do. Number 12, don't let other people, especially family, talk you out of something that you want to do and try. Life is too short to live out other people's dreams. Trust yourself. This is one that I learned really early on in my 20s, especially when I graduated, that people have their own dreams and wishes for you in a way because they care about you and they don't want to see you like fail. I think being raised in the Asian family, this is like a really big thing that I see. They can be very influential on you and kind of like talk you into not pursuing something that you really want to do. And I think if you're firm and you're really passionate and you work very hard, you can get anywhere. So live your own dreams and don't live other people's dreams. Number 13, grow as you go. Everyone starts somewhere, and comparing yourself to other people's success will create a lot of self-doubt. Focus on bettering yourself and no one else. Everyone's path is not linear, and everyone's path is unique and individual to themselves. Comparing yourself to people, especially those that are very successful already, when you're looking at other people's success and comparing yourself to them, you don't see all of their struggle that they went through to get to the top. You don't see like their entire journey laid out in front of you whenever you meet them. So it's kind of pointless to be comparing yourself to them. Number 14, take mistakes with grace. Give yourself enough time to freak out about it and then let it go. So every mistake that I've ever made in my life, I have learned something invaluable from it. And in a way, it's also like given me more confidence, because every time I fail, I feel like I'm in the worst headspace ever, and then I bounce back from it, and then it just teaches me that like even at my worst, even when I fail, I'm still able to continue going on. Number 15, the grind isn't everything. I think the first few years of my life working after I graduated from college, I was stuck in this really unhealthy and toxic work routine It's very weird and bittersweet because I don't really regret it, because I do think that when you're starting to build a business or something for yourself, you do have to work very hard to make it happen. I think there are limits that should have been in place back then for me. Like, I think back then I would like hold my pee for like long periods of time because I was just like so into typing a script out or so into like painting that I would just forget my bodily needs as a human, and I wouldn't eat when I was like starving for hours. I wouldn't sleep on time. Now I feel like I'm able to pull back a little bit more now that everything's a little bit more stable. I mean, you can't have a career or a business if your body is suffering at the same time. Number 16, always compare. And no, I'm not saying compare yourself with others, but I'm talking about comparing, like, for example, if you're manufacturing something, always compare one manufacturer to the other. Which one has lower prices but high quality products? Compare the clients that you get. This one pays this much. Why is this one not paying as much? Is this one going to be more valuable to me learning new skills if I take on this client, but maybe it pays less? And now we're down to the third section, which is life. Number 17, slow down. Not everything will be exciting and high energy all the time. Focus and appreciate on the little pockets of time in between. I would say that I relied a lot on high energy moments for the past few years of my life. And when it came to times where things slowed down, I would automatically fall into this like short period of depression until I met the next wave of excitement. And I think especially in our early 20s, we're always just experiencing all these new things. We're meeting all these new people. We're going to all these new places. And as you get older and you're experiencing these things over and over again, it doesn't become as like exciting as it used to be. And when I only relied on the excitement of like, this video is popping off or this one person I met is super cool, I would often find things like being at home alone very depressing. I would lay in bed and be like, I need some excitement. I'm so antsy to find the next big thing. But there's also something so beautiful of just being able to do these small things, of like doing your chores or like having a easy laid back phone call with someone. And I think I've just learned to be more grateful for those moments and see them as just as valuable and important as the high excitement moments in my life. Number 18, be your own best friend. Do things that other people won't do with you. There's never gonna be someone that will be by your side every single second of the day. And I've learned that too in relationships, especially like romantic relationships. You can't really rely on your partner to want to go everywhere with you, want to travel with you everywhere, want to do every single little thing with you. And it's very unrealistic to expect them to as well, because they're their own human beings. And the most magical moments, I feel like, for me are the moments that I spend by myself. When I go on that walk that I wanted to do by myself, or when I go thrifting by myself because no one else is available that day. In those moments, I'm really able to slow down and do things at my pace. I don't have to always overthink and be like, do they want to go home right now? Like, am I taking too long doing this? Also, this goes along with it, but I've also learned that there are times where you need to learn to self-soothe and to ease your own anxieties, because something that I learned a lot that I've noticed from my friends and myself, when we are in those very anxious moments of our life, that oftentimes we will spiral and we will repeat the same things over and over and over again. And there are times where I've talked my best friend's ear off over and over again about the same thing till it reaches the point where they're like, you need to stop. You need to pull back, figure this thing out, and reflect on your own, because there's nothing else left that I can do for you. And there are moments that I've done that for my best friend. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to people when you need help or when you are feeling really down and you need someone to talk to, but there are just some things that people can't help you solve. and you just have to learn to work through that yourself sometimes. Number 19, you are just beginning to figure out who you are as a person. There's so much unlearning that you have to do in your 20s once you start doing everything yourself. There is so much that I don't know about myself, and there's so much that I'm trying to catch myself up on. I think as I'm uncovering more and more about myself, a lot of things are just clicking, a lot of things are making sense. I think it's also very important to set aside time to get to know yourself. I feel like I get to a point where I'm just like, I don't know anything about myself, like who am I? And I have noticed that sometimes I unintentionally will start mimicking or like copying other people, which is not my intention. And so after I pulled back from trying to fit in and trying to like copy all the cool girlies on the internet or trying to dress like people that I admire, I'm starting to just realize what I like to wear and what I like to do and what my personality is like. And instead of trying to act like I'm cool, calm, and collected, I'm now realizing that I'm sometimes very high energy. I'm sometimes very silly. I'm being authentic to myself, and I feel the happiest when I'm being that weirdo in the corner. Number 20, it's okay if your dreams change. I've had the same dream for my life ever since I was a kid, and it's basically what I do right now, and I'm really happy that I was able to achieve something that I never thought I would ever achieve. Dreams do change, and it's okay that they change, and sometimes the thing that you wanted for this period of your life can morph into something completely different. Number 21, people are always coming and going as you go through life. Appreciate the moments that you have with them. More and more as I'm meeting all of these people, I'm slowly realizing that there are people that you literally only meet for an hour, a day, a week, a year, and sometimes you may never talk to them again or see them again. I think just being grateful for the moments that you have shared with them, they may come back into your life in the future again. Like I have had some friends where we were like the bestest of friends growing up, and right when we all split off into college, we just didn't talk as much anymore. But then over the past few years, we've reconnected and we've had really nice conversations again, and it's just nice to like catch up and talk to them. Number 22. If they respect you, they'd respect your boundaries. Something that I've learned very recently about myself is that I am a hardcore people pleaser. I am very codependent, and that has led to a lot of suffering in my early on relationships in my life. A lot of like learning what your boundaries are as a person and what you can accept and what you can tolerate is very important, especially if you want long-lasting relationships and very healthy relationships with the people around you. Everyone's boundaries look very different, and understand that people function differently from you. Number 23, don't take anything personally if you can. People project their fears and their anxieties onto you. Because we're all living in our own world sometimes, in our own heads, it's hard for us sometimes to truly understand what other people are going through. And because of that, we can only, I guess, like talk through our own experiences. When people get mad at you, or when people get very riled up because of a decision you made, it's not fair to you, first of all, but also like at the end of the day, you can't control what other people say or do to you or project onto you, but you can control the way you react to other people. Number 24, it's not the end of the world, it's just your anxiety. A lot of the times, my anxiety can make any type of thing blow out of proportion and make me feel like this is the end. Like this is like, how am I going to survive beyond this one thing that just happened to me? I think the more and more you experience these things, the more and more you realize you will get past it. Life continues. Life goes on. It is not the end of the world. I'm short one, so I'm going to make up number 25. Okay, I think I have one. I would say that people can always tell when you're being genuine and when you're being fake. People aren't dumb. I think people's intuition are very strong, and when they feel like something is off, they can feel it in their guts. When you approach life and approach things that you do, always do it in your most genuine and authentic way. People can tell, and it affects your work, it affects your relationships, it reflects in your conversations with people. So do your best to be genuine, do your best to live your life to the fullest, and do your best to just enjoy the things that you choose to spend your time on. And that's all I have to offer. If you have anything you want to add to this list or anything that you just want to add in general, I would love to read your comments. This list will always morph and grow as I age, and maybe in a few years I'll have a completely new list of things that I've learned. Yeah, be gentle on yourself. Life is crazy. We're all just little human beings on this really big planet trying to figure it out together. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe if you like. Hang out with me more, and I'll see you next time. Bye. 'Cause